Hello, Captains, and welcome to the review of the space battleship Yamato. No, wait a minute, that's a different series. This is actually a Yamato, but it is not that Yamato. This is the Tier 6 Dreadnought cruiser based on the Galaxy X, also called the Yamato class Dreadnought in the game Star Trek Online. So first of all, welcome back to my continuing series of the 30th anniversary of Star Trek The Next Generation. This is going to be the last video in that series. So, because this is the 30th year of Star Trek The Next Generation, 30 years ago this year, TNG was on the TV screen for the first time, and that's what this entire series of Starship videos that I've been doing for the past several weeks has been about. I've been honoring the 30th anniversary of Star Trek The Next Generation by looking at and reviewing the iconic Galaxy-class variants within the game Star Trek Online. The game Star Trek Online offers us the ability to fly that iconic ship seen in TNG. They have in this game the original, very original, which is a Tier 4 level ship in this game, Galaxy class Enterprise D starship, very basic, not really any extra features on it. Then they go up a couple of levels and we have one that has an antimatter spread and then one that offers saucer separation. And then it goes even further with these Dreadnought versions where you have a Galaxy X class Dreadnought ship as seen in All Good Things, the very last episode of TNG. And they have two variants of that which we've looked at. They've got the Tier 5 and then this is going to be the Tier 6 version variant of that Dreadnought, the most updated version that the game has. And we did take a look at the Tier 6 version of the regular, or what would be an updated Galaxy class, but a Tier 6 version of that. So a ton of starships we've looked at, a lot. And this is going to be the last one here in this series. It's the last, quote, Galaxy variant. And I say that very openly and loosely because there are a lot of variants of the Galaxy in this game, and they're just labeled different things, obviously, so that you can separate them. But the two main classes, you could say, is the Dreadnought or the Exploration Cruiser. The Dreadnought is the one here with 3 nacelles and the phaser spinal lance, notably, and then you've got the regular Exploration Cruiser Galaxy, which is just what you would consider to be the Enterprise D, basically, just at different tiers within this game. So we've looked at all of those past ships, and this is the last one now that we will be looking at in the game of the Galaxy variants. This is the highest order that is in the game. This is Tier 6 Tier 6 level, so this is the highest level. This is the Dreadnought Galaxy X. It's called Yamato class Dreadnought, but it is literally just a Tier 6 version of the Galaxy X. That's what it is. So instead of the Tier 5 version we looked at previously, this is the Tier 6 version. This is the highest version in the game, which means it's going to have all the latest bells and whistles and console abilities and all that kind of stuff. And obviously a starship trait and all that kind of stuff with it. So that's what we're looking at today. And it has definitely a unique look to it, a unique skin, something that sets it apart from everything else. And you'll find that skin is familiar with the Tier 5 or Tier 6 Exploration Cruiser, the one we just looked at previously. So it does have the similar skin to the Tier 6 Exploration Cruiser. But you can make it look like the regular Dreadnought as seen in TNG, but just by simply going to any shipyard and changing the skin on it, and you can make it look like that classic ship from the actual episode, All Good Things, and it still have all your Tier 6 powers. So we're going to take a look at that as well. But before we look at all the specs on it, let's read a little bit about it. Again, this particular ship, because this ship was never seen in a TV show, it is what's considered non-canon, soft canon, however you want to define it. This comes from Memory Beta, which is a non-canon website that draws upon novels and games and other things like this game, and gives us information about these things. So I'm just going to read about this ship. Now, obviously, the one we saw on the TV show, which we had already looked at in this game, that one actually was in the TV show. But there aren't a lot of specifications known about it because it was only briefly shown, and they never really talked about like how many phaser arrays it has and so forth and so on. But here is what the Memory Beta website says about it. So this is the Yamato class was a type of dreadnought cruiser active in Federation Starfleet service in the early 25th century. It was an advanced variant of the Galaxy X class, incorporating systems and architecture from the Andromeda class exploration cruiser. And that's the one we looked at previously. Technical data. Like its parent design, the Yamato class was aimed with a phaser spinal lance and could be equipped with a cloaking device. It also features supplemental subsystems that could supply the vessel with extra power for short periods, as well as a hangar bay capable of deploying small craft into combat. And here's some background on it. The name Yamato class appears to be a double reference, both to the USS Yamato, lost with all hands to the Iconian software weapon in 2365, and to the space opera anime series Space Battleship Yamato, wherein the World War II Japanese battleship Yamato was raised, repaired, and lifted with a wave motion gun to do battle in space. So it has a couple of connections, one to an episode of Star Trek, just in name only, and then to another anime series, just to reference that, which is quite cool. So that's why this is called Yamato. But, I mean, it's basically, think of it as the Tier 6 Dreadnought Galaxy X. That's what it is. So, you know, before Tier 6 existed in this game, there used to be a time when Tier 5 was the highest ship level. And at that time, there was a Tier 5 Galaxy X. But then, obviously, when they made a Tier 6 level in the game, Tier 6 starships, they eventually had to release a newer ship so that it could be a top-of-the-line ship in the game, and so that's what this ship is. It's basically just the Dreadnought Galaxy X with Tier 6 abilities. And they named it something different to kind of differentiate it and separate it. And it also does have a unique set of consoles and a console pairing that you can do. So you can take the Tier 5 Dreadnought Galaxy X and this Tier 6 Dreadnought Galaxy X and put the two consoles together for a complete new package of abilities. So that's something as well. If you own both ships, you have to have both ships to do that. And we will look at that as well and see what that does in this video. So going over some specifications of this ship, there's really not a lot known. It's got a crew of 1,000, just like any Galaxy variant. We don't really know how many phaser arrays it totally has, or torpedo launchers, photon torpedoes. It's got the phaser spinal lance, obviously. It's got 3 nacelles, which allow it to go really fast. It's got, you know, a high capacity shield array, deflector shield. So there's, other than that, I mean, we really don't know anything else about the actual specs because, again, it was only seen very briefly on TV, and there's just not a lot known about it except that it can cloak, and the phaser spinal lance is very powerful and can shoot through a Klingon ship like the shields aren't even there, at least in the TV show. Now, it doesn't do that in the game, but in the TV show it did that. And obviously it's very fast, allowing, I guess, on the TNG scale, well, actually, I guess they had to have a new scale for all good things, but it was like warp 13, you know, way past into there. Obviously that's like on the TNG scale, it'd be like warp 9.99999, you know, so many nines or whatever. But basically, it's very fast. Probably one of the fastest ships out there for the time period. So that's pretty cool. And obviously, in the game here, Star Trek Online, it's got transwarp and slipstream as well. So it moves. This thing moves. I've always thought, wouldn't it have been cool to see this ship be the one that was lost in Voyager? Imagine Star Trek Voyager, but with a ship like this out in the Delta Quadrant. We would just own everything. I mean, it would be really awesome to see a ship like this lost in that part of the space. That would have been fun to see instead of something like Voyager. But anyway, let's go and read about this ship in the game now, Star Trek Online, because obviously the specs and everything about the ship are going to vary differently in the actual game here. So we're going to go to ships tier 6, and somewhere in all of this mess we should find our ship. There's the Andromeda one we looked at previously. That's the tier 6 exploration cruiser. And so hopefully this one won't be too far down here. Let's see. I guess it is far down here. Come on. Where are you at, ship? They really need to organize this better. It's so hard to find things. It's way at the bottom, of course. Yamato class Dreadnought cruiser. There's some pictures of it. We'll take a closer look at it in a second. The Tier 6 Yamato-class Dreadnought cruiser was built for battle with the Federation's current enemies in mind. It was heavily influenced by the advances made in the Andromeda-class exploration cruiser's design and has incorporated its state-of-the-art systems to create a truly formidable starship. This starship features a Lieutenant Commander Engineering/Command Specialist seat. The Dreadnought cruiser is equipped with a massive spinal phaser lance capable of dealing heavy phaser damage. The Dreadnought Cruiser Tier 6 comes equipped with Supplemental Subsystem Universal Console. When this console is activated, your starship's maximum subsystem power levels will be increased substantially. Incoming directed energy weapon attacks will damage the attacker, drain a small amount of the attacker's subsystem power, and drain a portion of that power back to your own subsystems. Each time an enemy attacks you with directed energy weapons, they will gain a critical drain counter. After obtaining 5 counters, all of their subsystems will be knocked offline for a short time, and they will suffer a large amount of damage. This console provides a passive bonus to all subsystem power levels. The console mod can be equipped only on Starfleet Dreadnought cruisers in any console slot. After achieving level 5 in the Dreadnought cruiser's Starship Mastery, you will unlock the Subsystem Redundancies trait. While this starship trait is slotted, activating a Spinal Lance or Beam Overload ability will regenerate a portion of your shields and provide a large amount of shield hardness and bring shields back online if they were offline. It has a single hangar bay equipped with Type 8 shuttles, and they are equipped with phaser beam arrays. So this is a Vice Admiral ship. Hull strength at level 60 is 53,320. Shield modifier of 1, 4 forward, 4 aft, 4 device slots, 1 Lieutenant Commander Tactical, 1 Lieutenant Commander Engineering/Command, 1 Commander Engineering, 1 Lieutenant Science, 1 Ensign Universal, 3 Tactical, 5 Engineering, 2 Science, 6 degrees a second turn rate. It's got a lot of friction, so keep that in mind. It has +5 to all power levels. It can load dual cannons, but again, it turns so slow. I would not go with cannons. I would go with an all-beam setup. Hangar bay. It's got 1 hangar bay. It's loaded with Type 8 shuttles. It's got the Phaser Spinal Lance. So again, you want to buff this ship the correct way and use it, the most power available to you. You will want a phaser build on this ship because you want to buff that Phaser Spinal Lance too, which means you're going to have to use phaser tactical consoles. So you're going to have to use a phaser build on this ship to get the most from it. It's got the Universal Supplemental Subsystems. It's got a Mastery package, and we'll go over each thing in space. And it's got 2 command array abilities only: Weapon System Efficiency and Attract Fire. So those are the base specs on it. And we'll take a look at the specs in space here after we go to ground and check out some of the features on the ground first. And then we'll come back into space and check out the specs on it and take her into battle. Let's fly her right into ESD, maximum speed. There you go. So I'm going to bring up my build on this ship. Just note the build I'm bringing up is the same build I have used on every starship that we've reviewed in this series. Every Galaxy variant, I have used this exact same build. That way we can compare the specifications and see what it's like in terms of damage ability and all that in space based on the same build. And we're just changing the ship, basically. So when I do that, you'll see here it is Dreadnought Cruiser Tier 6. And of course, like I said, the same build I'm using that I've used on everything. I've got phaser dual beam banks up front, quantum phase beam array here, quantum phase torpedo, and that's part of the quantum phase catalyst set. I'm using the Soul defense set, so that's the deflector, the impulse, and the shield. And then I'm using an elite fleet plasma integrated warp core. And then in the back, I have three 360-degree beams. I've got the trilithium enhanced omnidirectional phaser beam. That's part of the trilithium laced weaponry set. I have the omnidirectional phaser beam, and then I have the kinetic cutting beam. So that means I can forward fire on this ship or port fire, and all of my weapons will hit, especially if I'm forward firing. Actually, I'm port firing, these won't because they're a very narrow arc. But if I'm firing from the front of my ship, which I like to do, everything will point forward and fire at the ship. So I'm not losing any aft weaponry when I point forward and fire. I also have a trilithium tricobalt torpedo launcher in the back so that I can complete that set called trilithium laced weaponry. So I have the full trilithium laced weaponry set, and then I have the full quantum phase catalyst set. So I've got two full sets there, plus the Soul defense set. So I've got three full sets that complete a set 2 and set 3 bonus on this ship. So that's a lot of bonuses and a lot of extra powers and stuff that I've got because of those 3 sets. So just keep that in mind. Things like that can really help buff your ship if you put those kind of sets on there that help augment things. Now for the hangar bay, it comes with these things right here, the hangar Type 8 shuttles. It's just a level 61 Type 8 shuttle, 2 deployed wings at a time. They got phaser arrays. That's all that these have. Very basic. I upgraded mine. I went to my fleet, and you can buy the best the best ones from the fleet. And I got these. These are Elite Type 10 shuttles. So they have phaser arrays, micro photon torpedoes, and they have polarized hull 1 ability. So that's a much better hangar fighter for me there. And obviously you get that from your fleet starbase. So that's the Elite Type 10 shuttles I put on this. So that's going to help augment. You can have 2 deployed wings at a time. So that's going to help. Obviously, for my tactical consoles, I've got phaser damage buffed because I want to buff the phaser spinal lance as well as my weapons, of course. And the other things I've had on my other ship builds, I've got the quantum phase converter because that's part of the quantum phase catalyst, but that also increases phaser damage by plus 25%, so that's something I don't really want to sacrifice because that gives me more phaser damage on everything. It's like having a 4th tactical console, so it's very important. And I like the temporal disentanglement suite because this increases your critical chance and critical severity based on your aux power. And that's very important. I want a lot of critical chance and a lot of critical severity, obviously, to get all those critical hits in and stuff. So that is boosted by your aux power. So that's very helpful on an all-beam build like this. And then I've got a reinforced armaments console. That's power transfer rate and starship hull restoration and hull capacity. Then I got my Trillium D for all damage resistance, starship hull capacity, blah blah blah, shield capacity. Got a Xenotech power flow module for power transfer rate and hull penetration. And then here's the one that comes with this ship. This is called the Universal Supplemental Subsystems. It's going to do a whole bunch of things, as you can see on screen. We'll actually go to space and take a look at those numbers because they might change when we're in space. But basically, you're going to activate this power, and it's going to buff your subsystems. Your power levels are going to be higher, and it's going to debuff the enemy's subsystems. And it's going to use their power, it almost like leeches power from the enemy and brings it over to you and buffs your power more, and at the same time does damage to the enemy, and at the same time can even disable all their subsystems briefly. So that's a very cool ability when you enable this. And we're going to take a look at that and see how it operates. But I like this ability. It really is very cool. We have a full Starship Mastery package on this thing. Again, we'll go to space and look at the specs on that, because there is a trait associated with it called Subsystem Redundancies, but it requires you to activate Beam Overload or your Phaser Lance for it to work. So only 2 abilities will make it proc. So you have to remember to put those abilities on your ship. Obviously, the Phaser Spinal Lance is already there, but you'll need to add Beam Overload in order to make this ability work more for you, which I have put on this ship. So let's look at that. Let's look at my stations now. These are the stations that you get. You get a full Commander Engineering. You would just expect that on this type of ship. So I'm using Directed Energy Modulation 3, Emergency Power to Shields 3. I got Reverse Shield Polarity and Power to Engines here. But what this also has is this ability here. You've got this Lieutenant Commander Engineering, but also / Command. You can have command abilities here, and you'll see I have one called Overwhelm Emitters on here, just to show you that you can put command abilities on here, the command specialization. So for example, this is my Saurian Engineer 1. If I go to him right here and go to skills, you'll see that he's trained as a command specialist. So I've trained him on that, and then I can come down here, and here's his command specialist powers. We can go up to this level here, and these are all the powers you can have at that level for command specialist abilities. So you could train him in any of these powers and add these, you know, to your seating, to that bridge officer seating if you want, or you can mix and match it between engineering powers and command powers, which is what I've done. I've got Emergency Power to Weapons 3, which is an engineering power, and then Engineering Team 2, which is an engineering power, and then I have my command power, Overwhelm Emitters 1. So you can mix and match them like that and use some things, but this gives you an option here to use some command abilities on this starship, which makes it a little more useful. And then for tactical, I've got Beam Fire at Will 3, because ultimately this is still a beam ship and it's got a lot of beams on it. So I want that Fire at Will 3. But then I added Overload 2 because that procs the trait on this ship. The trait that is called Subsystem Redundancies. So in order to make that work, you need the Phaser Spinal Lance or Beam Overload 2, or both of them. So I have Beam Overload 2 on here now so that I can utilize that Starship trait specifically for that. I've got Torpedo Spread 1, I've got Tactical Team 1, and then you've got your Science here, just 2 Science stations. Science Team 2 and Polarized Hull is what I have right now. But of course you can, you know, put whatever powers you want on here. This is just a demonstration to show you, you know, some things you can do. Command, engineering powers, tactical powers, science powers. But the one you would need if you want to use the subsystem redundancies is Beam Overload. That's like a needed power. That's a necessary power in order to use that Starship trait, because that's what makes it work. You have to use Beam Overload or Lance abilities. So we'll look at that in space and see how that works as well. Otherwise, obviously you want to make sure you put on your specializations. I've got Intelligence Officer as my primary. I have Pilot as secondary. Pilot does give you a plus 40% turn rate buff. Even if it's secondary, you still get that full 40% turn rate. So this ship's going to turn a little bit better than normal, and I like that, and I want that out of this ship, because it is very slow to turn without any turn buffs. Now, the specialization I would rather have on here, 2 different ones actually, is I would probably want to try out Miracle Worker on this ship, and then second to that would be the Command Officer. One of those I would probably rather have as my primary other than Intelligence. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those open right now, so I can't use them. As you can see, got nothing on there, and I've just now started putting some points into Miracle Worker, so I don't have that all opened up yet, whereas I do have all of Intelligence Officer. So that's the only reason why I'm using Intelligence Officer on this ship, is only because that's the only one I have fully unlocked. That and Pilot are the only 2 that are fully unlocked on this character. But once I get Miracle Worker unlocked, I'll probably switch this ship over to Miracle Worker as my primary. But that is what I've got right now, so that's what I got. Now, in terms of your traits and everything, you want to make sure to equip all of that as well. Here's the starship trait for this one, subsystem redundancies. So I have that enabled. I also have other starship traits on here. I feel okay leaving those on here because you can get those from the exchange or from lockboxes or other things, and you can put other starship traits on any ship. So since everybody can do that in the game just with the right resources, it's capable for you to do that. So I'm going to leave that on here because you can do the same thing and have those things on here too. And of course you want to have all that stuff because that's going to help you buff your ship. You want to use all the trait slots you have. You want to use, you know, your space reputation. You want to use your active reputation. You want to use starship traits. You want to make sure your personal space traits are set well. You want all of that to be in use. So that's the basic setup I have on this ship right now. So the next thing to do is to go into the editor here and let's look at customizing our ship. See what we can do visually on it. So this is what it looks like right now, Yamato. This is the Yamato skin. Now, like I said, you can select Galaxy and make it look like the classic 3 nacelle thing from All Good Things. No one would ever know you had a tier 6 version or a tier 5 version because it looks just like the tier 5 version. So you could trick people out, you know. They would think you only have the tier 5 when really you have the tier 6. But you can change to Monarch, you can change to Venture skin as well if you like that Venture skin. I gotta say I like that Venture skin a lot. Or to the Yamato, which is what this variant looks like. You can change the window type. There's 5 different window types there. You can change the bridge. Again, I like the Galaxy 2368 bridge. Good old Enterprise D bridge there. Materials. This is a Type 7 material, but if you've got different materials, you can check those out. If you've got Upgrade or Veteran, that can make it look different. You can change a pattern on it. And of course, you can mix and match the styles if you own other variants. For example, I can change, you know, just the whole part there. I can change just the saucer, use different saucers. Can change the nacelles. There's the center. I can make the center nacelle look different from the rest of them. Here's the left and right nacelles. So you can make it, you mix and match and make it look, you know, more customized that way if you'd like to. The pylons. Pylons really make a big difference. Look at that. Those are really swept out there on the Yamato. Those are more pulled in. See, that can really change up how the ship looks. So all of those different things are available to you to customize the view of it, which is quite nice. Gives you a uniqueness. You can make it look a little bit unique. But we're going with the classic Yamato view on it right now. And that's pretty much everything on ground to go over on this ship. One thing I haven't mentioned is that there are fleet versions of these ships, and I'm not going to review the fleet versions, but if you go to like fleet tier 6, you should find, like, here's the fleet exploration cruiser tier 6, and different things here. Here's the fleet Dreadnought cruiser tier 6, but you'll notice you need to have 20,000 fleet credits, and you need to have these fleet ship modules to buy them, and you need to have the military fleet ship provisionings from your fleet as well. But most importantly, it's these ship modules you have to have, and they are expensive. But if you have them, or you have enough, you can get these fleet versions of this ship as well. Basically, all this does is give you a higher hull strength, maybe a higher shield too. I think it gives you a higher shield and a higher hull, and that's about it. It does not, however, give you a unique console. So if you wanted the subsystem console from this ship, for example, this one here, called the supplemental subsystems. The fleet ships don't come with these consoles. Only the C-Store version of the ships come with these consoles. So you could get the fleet version of the ship, but you would not have that unique console. Now, if you got the C-Store version of this ship and the fleet version of this ship, you could take the C-Store console here and put it on the fleet version of the ship. But you can't just buy the fleet version and have this console. You have to buy the C-Store version to get the console. So no console on the fleet versions. Keep that in mind. That's a very important thing there. Yeah, these fleet versions have a higher shield and higher hull, but no unique console. So that's where they lack. So keep that in mind. That option is available and is there. And the best option would be to get both the C-Store and the fleet version and then put everything on the fleet version. But you're talking about a lot of resources and money and so forth, to go through all that. But that is a possible thing you can do in the game, which will make you just a little bit better. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. Fleet ships are not a ton better than the C-Store equivalents, just a little bit. So keep that in mind. I don't think C-Store ships also, they might not have the masteries, I don't think. Not the C-Store, the fleet versions. I actually don't know. It's been a lot. I'll give you a little hint here. I have never purchased a Tier 6 fleet ship yet. I don't own any Tier 6 fleet ships. So actually a question for you guys would be, do you get the masteries on these ships? Yeah, it says here you get Starship ability package. Yeah, you get the mastery. I don't think you get the Starship trait. So that's the downside. Yeah, you get the mastery, but you don't get the trait. So that means you still have to have the C-Store version to get the trait. Am I right on that, or am I wrong? It's a little confusing, and like I said, I've never purchased a Tier 6. So let's see, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, but there's no trait. Yeah, so you get a 4 mastery package out of it, but you don't get the 5th one, which is in this case subsystem redundancies, which is a trait. So that means you still have to have the C-Store version to get the trait. So you need the trait and the console, and then you could put them on the ship. The ship would support traits, so you can equip traits on the ship, but it just doesn't come with a trait, being the fleet version. So that means you have to get the C-Store version to get the console and the trait. Then you could get the fleet version, and then you could put those two things on this ship. You could add them to it, but otherwise it's not going to come with the console or the trait. So just keep that in mind. In order to make the best use of the fleet ship, you would also want to get the C-Store ship so you could put the trait and the console on the fleet ship. So you're talking about a much higher cost overall, and the fleet ship, all that's pretty much going to do is give you a higher hull and shield. Correct me if I'm wrong about any of that, but I think that's pretty much the gist of it there. Like I said, I don't own any Tier 6 fleet ships, but in the future I probably will get some to try that out. But I think that's how it works now. I'm used to how it was at Tier 5, and that was a long time ago. So things have changed a little bit now that with these mastery traits and everything. Mastery packages. Okay, oh, one last thing. Oh, duh, I forgot. The console ability, like I said, you can combine the consoles on this ship. If you have the Tier 5 Galaxy X C-Store version, you got this, the cloaking device, right? Well, you can combine that with this thing here, which is called the supplemental subsystems. You put those together and you get something called Starfleet Maneuvering Protocol. And when we look at that, the two-piece bonus from that is called Starfleet Maneuvering Protocol. You get a +3 turn rate and a +3 defense. So not huge, really. You get a little bit more turn rate and a little bit more defense out of it. And that's it. But you do gain cloaking if you put that on there. So you'd have cloaking and you'd have supplemental subsystems. So that's something you can put on there as well altogether. And of course, it also supports the other abilities. You could put the from the exploration cruiser, you could put the molecular cohesion nullifier, you could put the saucer separation, and you can put the antimatter spread all on this ship as well. So you can have those two sets on this ship, but then you have to sacrifice a lot of consoles to do that. I mean, a lot. You'd have to sacrifice 4 consoles to do that. I mean, that's practically your whole engineering section right there. So that's a ton of consoles you'd have to sacrifice to put those sets on there. I don't know that that's so much worth it. It is possible you can do it. I just don't know that it's worth it to lose that many custom consoles. But it's capable of doing it. So if you owned all those ships, you can put everything together, which would give it those abilities. It would make it pretty special, that's for sure. Let's go to space. Space is where everything happens. So here we are in space, my Yamato. And boy does it look good. I mean, it has a nice, slick, clean, aerodynamic look to it. It's swept forward. I love the swept forward look to it. You know, it's really cool. Big old phaser spinal lance. From behind, I like the way these nacelles are spread out to the edge of the saucer, and then this one sticks up in the middle, but not too far. It doesn't look too weird. It's just a really good design. I mean, it's very futuristic. It looks very 25th century. It looks very armored. It looks very, very capable of doing some damage. And like I said, I would love to have seen a ship like this stuck in the Delta Quadrant. That would have been amazing to see. It would just have been a great experience. We'd blow through everything. It would be a lot of fun, actually, in a ship like this. You would feel a lot more comfortable, that's for sure. You wouldn't feel like you're in so much danger. Voyager was a small ship, but and while it was advanced for a science ship, I mean, does not come anywhere close to the tankiness and weapon offensive ability of a cruiser like this. And the power, just the power, the sheer power of the warp core and everything. It's just really, really massive on this thing. So anyway, let's look at my specs and powers. I'm at 125 weapon, 98 shield, 61 engine, and 83 auxiliary. You can compare that to my other ship reviews and see what that was at. We'll go into the specs here. I'm sitting at a hull strength of 100,613. I've got 376% power transfer rate. My detection rating or defense rating at impulse is 60. Hull repair rate is 119.8% a minute. My shield regeneration is 620.5 shields every 6 seconds. I've got a shield capacity of 17,761. All my resists are above 50% mostly. My critical chance is 14.9% and critical severity is 71.8. So that's definitely good. I've got a higher than 10% chance of doing crit severities, so that's good. My turn rate with that buff I have going on, of course, is 10.7 degrees per second. It's a very powerful ship. The masteries. The first mastery is regenerate 1257 hull every 3 seconds, twice the amount regenerated out of combat. Then you have a plus 25 energy and radiation damage resistance. Then you have a plus 2.5 critical chance. So this would boost critical chance. You got a plus 10% hull hit point. And then, of course, the Starship Mastery, the trait, I mean. This one is a shield hardness, shield regeneration, and shield repair when using beam overload or lance abilities. You gain 1,260 shield regeneration for each facing. It repairs disabled shields if they were disabled. And you get a 25% shield resistance for 10 seconds. But to make that proc, you of course have to either use beam overload or lance. So here's beam overload down here. If I hit this, the trait should activate. And then for that amount of time, it's for 10 seconds, it's going to give me a shield hardness and shield resistance. And it's also going to buff my shields, which are fully buffed right now, so they don't need to be there fully healed, but it would if they were down a little. So all I have to do is hit that, and the trait should technically be active. You probably have to fire. You not just enable it, but you actually have to fire on the enemy for that to work, because I didn't see the actual trait, like, you know, activate right there. Although it should, technically. But again, you may have to fire. Let's try it again. Yeah, probably something you have to fire on the enemy and then it'll work. But otherwise, it may not have a visual associated to it, so that may be all you get. It's just something, it's very slight. Really not something that I really notice when I'm playing the game. But take a look at it when I activate Beam Overload when I'm at an enemy, and we'll see if it does something. Obviously, you can also activate it by using the Phaser Spinal Lance, which is right here. This is the 14,035 phaser damage times 2 to target, 2.5 chance disable one subsystem for 5 seconds, 1260 shield regeneration, repair disabled shields, and shield resistance. That's the trait right there. So that does it on that, and then this also has that as well. So it just depends. We'll have to see. We'll try it and see what happens in battle. Now remember this with the Phaser Spinal Lance. It does best when the shields are down on the enemy. Even though in the TV show, when they fired this thing, it blew right through the Klingon shields and the hull. In this game, it's not as powerful. Not at all. If you fire this thing with the enemy's shields up, it will not do hardly any damage to their ship. So you will have to wear their shields down on one facing first, and then fire this at their hull, and then it will do a lot of damage to the enemy. But that's the important thing with this. You've got to make sure the enemy's shields are down. Shields up, and this thing is not very useful. So we'll keep that in mind. That's something to keep in mind when using that ability there. Alright, so what else do we have? We've got the console ability, of course, the Universal Supplemental Subsystems. So this gives +2 power to all subsystems just by having this on the ship. But it damages and leeches power from attackers. So it does a +40 max all power subsystems for 20 seconds. So my subsystem powers will be really buffed. They'll go way up. And when I'm receiving damage, the attacker gets electrical damage, ignores their shields, and you leech their power levels from their subsystems. And at 20 subsystem overload counters, you do a whole lot of electrical damage to them, and you can knock their subsystems offline. So this ability, I don't really know the sphere of influence. I'm guessing it's with just whatever is within your weapon range, it'll work. But we'll activate it right now, and you can see what the visual looks like. It's this icon right here. So I'm going to hit this now, and watch my power levels should also go way up when I hit this. I guess you again, it's one of those things you have to be firing at the enemy because it's not, they didn't go up at all. So you have to fire at the enemy and gain those counters for it to raise your power levels. Just enabling it by itself is not going to do that. But that's what the visual looks like on it anyway, and then it's over. It doesn't last a whole lot of time, and then it has a 2-minute cooldown. So that's a little bit long to wait. But when it's active and you're firing, if you have a lot of enemies around you, it's good for that. Here's my fighters. My hangar bay I can launch. 1, 2, 3, and then I can have to wait for it to cool down, and then I can launch another 3. So I can have three of them deployed at once. Try to get a close-up view on what they look like. There's one of them right there. That's what they look like. Again, they use phaser arrays as well, and micro photon torpedoes and polarized hull. So I'll have these little babies to help me out in battle. And you just want to keep farting them out because they do die, and you'll have to keep replenishing them often while in battle. So just keep that in mind. You want that button kind of nearby so you can keep launching them as much as possible. And what else do we have? Everything else is pretty much just based on whatever bridge officer powers you put on the ship. Here's the command power I have called Overwhelm Emitters. I will use that. It drains shields Again, remember, draining shields is very important to using the phaser lance, so using the quantum catalyst set that I have, which drains shields, plus overwhelm emitters, I can drain the shields pretty fast on an enemy, and then I can shoot them with the phaser spinal lance. Another thing I can use to drain shields is also the destabilizing beam here. This also drains their power subsystems as well and does phaser damage to the enemy, and it will help drain their shields, and then once I do that, then I can fire off the spinal lance in that hole that it leaves. And it's actually a very powerful combo. I've used this before. When you power up with your EPS here, EPS power transfer, to give yourself more power levels, or enable this ability, the overload supplemental subsystems, when you do that and buff your power levels, and then fire off this thing, the quantum destabilizing beam, and then when the shields are down, hit them with the phaser spinal lance, it's a very powerful combo, and you can take down a really big enemy ship very fast. I was playing the Tzenkethi Red Alerts, and the big cruisers you have to take down that send those protomatter missiles out. I took them down very easily with that combo on this, even without killing the supporting craft of the Tzenkethi. I was able to go up to the main one and take it out with that combo. And of course, if you buff like intelligence, fleet, and engineering, you buff the other things, energy weapon damage, directed and energy modulation, all that stuff. If you do all that stuff and combine it all together and fire at the enemy, you are going to take a powerful cruiser down very fast with that combo. You got to hit it right though, because it's important that you get the shields down so you can get the phaser lance in there. But you do that right, you can inflict a lot of damage very quickly and take out those big ships very quickly. And I'm going to try to do that in a video here and show you on one of the more difficult ships like that. I guess we'll probably use it as Tzenkethi Red Alert as the example, and I'll try to use that combo and show you how quickly you can bring one of those ships down. It's just really not a threat with this ship. And then of course it has really good tanking ability, and as an engineer you're able to heal yourself very well with things that you have, so it makes this ship very versatile, and I can do a lot of damage, and I can also take a lot of damage with this ship. And that's what I really like about this ship. A very powerful ship in this game. So we're going to take a look at all of that. I'm just making sure that I looked at everything here. We looked at the masteries, we looked at the stats, we looked at the consoles and what they do. So there's really not anything else to do at this point except to go in and show you how everything works. And before we just jump in this time to a red alert or something, I actually want to go to a patrol and use these features by themselves to show you how they work and what they do by themselves. And then we will just go all out and go into combat, because I want to focus on and show you what the starship trait does. I want to show you what this console does. I want to show you what the phaser spinal lance does. And after we look at those abilities specifically for this ship, then we'll just go all out and take out the enemy. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go to Japori, and I will not waste your time by having you sit through that whole journey, but we'll go to Japori, and we'll kind of use these features one at a time so that I can show you what they do, just as an exploration routine here to see what they do. So I'm going to pause the video right now, and when we come back, I will be at Japori and ready to go to show you those features. Stand by. Welcome back, everybody. We are at Japori. So the very first ability I'm going to show off is the starship trait. So this one is called Subsystem Redundancies. It's going to regenerate shield, and it's going to give me a shield resistance, and I'm hoping for some kind of visual to indicate that. But what I'm going to do is let the enemy do some damage to me first to bring my shield down a little bit. And then I'm going to activate beam overload and fire on the enemy. And what we want to look for is some kind of visual clue that the trait is activating. But second to that, you want to look at the shield facings and see if it adds shield to me, if it heals my shields when I do that. And the shield hardness we really can't see. That's just something that we have to hope is working. So here we go. Let's try that out first. This is the first time trying to demonstrate it here, so I'm not really sure if it's going to work, but we're going to try it out anyway. That's how it's supposed to work. You can also activate it by using the phaser spinal lance, but I'm going to show that anyway a little bit later on, and we can look at that again when we do that as well. I have been playing on this ship now for a little while, for the past week, and I haven't really noticed this trait helping me a lot. I mean, maybe it does, maybe it has. It hasn't really been something that I've just consciously been aware of every time I use it. So that's why it's a little iffy to me if it's like real useful. Well, that was crazy. I came out of warp in an explosion. Alright, again, I'm going to let the enemy do some damage to me. I have to, so I can get my shields down a little, so that way I can, you know, try it out. Alright, fire on me. I might have to fire on them, so they'll fire on me. What if I do attract fire? Let's do that. Okay, stop firing, stop firing, stop firing. No, I don't want to destroy them. Stop. Okay, my shields are going down. Check that out. Let's use that. Here we go. Did it work? I'm guessing it worked. But I'm guessing it worked. It was just so hard to tell. It's just so hard to tell. Let's try it again when it cools down. My shield facing is still down. So let's try this again. Yeah, I guess it gave me a little bit of shield, but not a lot. I'm gonna try it again. If it'll ever cool down. Okay, yeah, there you go. It put me in the yellow that time. So I went from red to yellow. So it does give you a little bit of shield, but it's not a lot. And it's not real noticeable, right? Not a lot of shield. It's a little bit, but not a lot. So we know that works. That starship trait works. It's just not extremely noticeable. Let's do it again. We'll do it one more time. Watch my shield facing in the front there. Now it went up into the white. So it does give you some shield. It's not a massive thing. But I guess it could help you last a little bit longer in battle. So there you go. That's how that one works. Not that great, but it's there. It's a thing, right? The next thing I'm going to try is overload subsystems. Now this one, I kind of want a lot of enemies around me. So let's destroy this group and then we'll do it on the next group. Okay, where's the next group at? What are they firing at over here? What are they firing at? There's like nothing here. Oh, they're firing at that one stinger. Okay, fine. Look at that. Look, he just healed. Like I said, the turn rate on this thing, right? That's the problem, is trying to turn around to get within distance of this thing. Come on. Okay, now the next group will pop. Alright, there's the next group. Here goes this ability. Look at the electrical damage. That's cool. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That electrical damage is awesome. And look at my power levels. Holy crap. That is why I love overload supplemental subsystems. That is why I love Overload subsystems. That was great. That electrical damage was spectacular. My power levels, spectacular. Notice I didn't even use my shuttles. I mean, I did not even need to use my shuttles. This ship just blew through everything like it was nothing. I mean, that's a lot of power under the hood there. I didn't even use all of my buffs. Imagine if I had buffed everything. There's a lot of things I really didn't even need to use in that patrol. It was just so easy. It was pretty cool anyway. Let's do one more. Let's go to Karaya. Yeah, let's go there. That's Romulans, and we'll do those. We'll do it all over again. We'll do those same powers again just to demonstrate them. And then we'll go into battle, and I'll show you some good combos with the phaser lance and all that other stuff I was talking about. So you can see how beam overload now gives me a little bit of a shield hardness, which I guess it does, and a shield heal. Not really a visual on the screen to indicate that it's working, though, unfortunately. I wish there was some kind of visual associated with it. The other thing, though, this ability here, the Overload Supplemental Subsystems, are very powerful. I love how it shoots out electricity everywhere, and I love how my power levels were all over 100. I mean, just amazing. And that wasn't even using EPS. Could you imagine using EPS and red matter and all that at the same time? I actually want to try that, because why do I keep exploding out of a warp field? What the heck? That's a weird thing. Again, I'm not even going to use my shuttles here. I will use them in the red alerts we do, but I'm not going to use them right now because I'm just demonstrating these small abilities right here. Let's use the let's do this. Power up, power up, power up. Look at my power levels. Wow, like 160 on shield. I mean, look at that. I just destroyed them. I mean, just absolutely destroyed them. Haven't even used my shuttles yet. I love this ship. This is so powerful. Yeah, no problem there. I love the ship. I didn't even use my shuttles through all of that. Didn't even need to use them. But I will, of course, in these red alerts we're about to do. So that's the next thing. You've now seen these traits and the override supplemental subsystems things and all that. Very cool. I want to wait for these numbers to cool down. I want all my powers to be available to me. So I'm going to let these cool down, and then I'm going to join the Tzenkethi Red Alert. And I am definitely going to try that combo I told you about. When the protomatter cruisers show up, I am going to try that out and try to show you how powerful that is. I'll hit all my power levels, my supplemental subsystems things, drain them, hit them with the phaser lance. They'll be gone. They'll be like butter. Be like hot knife through butter. It's gonna be quite fun. I'm excited. But how long is this gonna take to pop? Come on, one more player. Nope, and it dropped down. Okay, no telling how long this is going to take then. I'm going to pause the video in that case, and I will come back when it pops, so you don't have to sit here and wait. I'll sit here and wait instead. Okay, here we go, everybody. My Tzenkethi Red Alert has popped. Now, this is a PUG, of course, pickup group. No telling. It could go good, it could go bad. So we'll just see what happens. If I end up failing this because it goes bad, then well, that will just be the case. I'm going to launch my shuttles. Just letting the team know I'm going left. And I should be getting another wing out before time is up. I'll have all my shuttles available to me, and that's what we're going to do. These are almost cooled down, so all my stuff is ready to use. There's my final wing.
All ships, this is Martok. Prepare for battle.
All my ships are available to me.
Get their cruisers first. They're the backbone of a Tzenkethi fleet. Destroy enemy battleships to bring out their Dreadnought.
Okay, Dreadnought time? Yes.
They're launching protomatter torpedoes. Destroy them and take out those ships.
Okay, here we go. Alright, let's... Oh, all my things are unbuffed. Crap. Oh well. I'll give it my best. There we go. That worked pretty good. He's gone. There we go. Brought him down. Brought them all down. I did all of those ships single-handedly. There you go. That's what I was trying to show you. I did all of those ships single-handedly. I brought all of them down. Now these guys need help. Look, nobody is over here, so I'm going to help these people. And I'm gonna I can't do my combo again. Everything's cooled down, unfortunately. I mean, not cooled down, so that sucks. But let's see what I can do. Okay, I still did pretty good with that. Even not having all my stuff available, I still, look what I did. There we go.
We have lost the satellite. Watch for torpedo attacks.
Darn, we lost the satellite. Everybody came over here to help, and then only one person was left over there. See, that happened. Well, oh well. You're just a fighter. This lone straggler all by himself. Okay, we got this problem again. Don't know why I did that. Is this the Dreadnought fleet? Oh, this is the Dreadnought fleet. No, it's not the Dreadnought fleet. But we still need to take them out. Come on, die already. Okay, it's just a battleship, not a problem. We can do this. Yeah, look at him go. Don't even need to use my... Look at that. I mean, look how fast I brought him down. I didn't even need to use my spinal lance. I was going to use the spinal lance, but I didn't even need to. I didn't even need to. Brought him down so fast. Now, these guys over here, what is the problem? Why can't they take this ship out? Somebody get that protomatter. I gotta take out the battleship. Man, I don't know what these people would have done without my help. I mean, seriously. I'm single-handedly taking out the battleships.
There's the Tzenkethi flagship. Destroy it at once! Destroy that Dreadnought! Our time runs short!
Man. Okay. Here we go. 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 Gonna rock the town. Gonna move right. Something, 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 something. Gonna rock and roll, yeah. Move your body, yeah, yeah. Gonna rock and roll. Gonna move your soul. Rock and roll, everybody, yeah. Wow, this sucker is difficult. Finally got him.
Excellent work.
Phew, that guy was difficult. Came close to blowing up a few times, but managed to survive. Managed to survive. I think I was probably the most powerful person in this group. There was another person maybe that was pretty powerful, but I was taking down those battleships single-handedly. I took down a whole group, I think, by myself. Had to come to the defense because, like, everyone was at the satellite back here, but nobody was, like, it's like all of a sudden there's a ton of proto-matter things coming and nobody's at the battleships back here. Why do people do that? Why do they do that? Why don't they go, like, take out the battleships? That's what you're supposed to do. Anyway, I did it. Well, that gives you a good indication, I think, of how good this ship is. I mean, it's very powerful when done right, and used in the right combinations, you can do some very powerful combo moves. I didn't quite use them to the best of my ability, but if you have everything, the problem is having everything not on cooldown, first of all, because once you use everything, then you got like 2-minute cooldowns on everything. But when everything's not on cooldown and you can activate everything all together, you're going to take down a very powerful ship very quickly with everything buffed on it. It's just you have to wait for everything to cool down. And then, of course, when you have all your shuttles out, too, helping you fight, they help, you know, pew, pew, pew on your enemies and wear them down faster as well. It's just a good combination. I mean, this whole ship is just a good combination of abilities. And that subsystem abilities, oh my gosh, I love that subsystem console. That's just an amazing ability on this ship. I mean, that's one of my favorites so far. I love that thing. Okay, the next thing to do is we're going to do something a little different because right now, going on this weekend, they have a special thingy going on. They've got or brought back the Mirror Invasion. That's right, Mirror Invasion. So I'm going to go do that. Now, this has Mirror Invasion Advanced, doesn't it? So yeah, we could go do an advanced. Let's do an advanced version of Mirror Invasion. How about them apples? Mirror Invasion Advanced. Check. Check. No. Accept. I think that's advanced. Please tell me I hit the advanced on that one. I think I got it in advanced. So this is a pug, of course, so this could go good or bad. I'm pretty sure I'm in the advanced level. This is level 60. So. I think I'm in the right thing. Again, we're pugging this, so no telling how good or bad this will go. You know, just depends on the other players if they're good or bad. We could have a ton of open portals here, and this could be just a terrible run, or this could go good. We'll see. I'll do my part anyway. That's all I can do is my part. But nobody's responding in teams, so that's never a good sign. Never a good sign for a pug when nobody talks to you. Oh well, we'll just see what happens. Alright, you definitely want to activate them thingies and close portals, man. You got a lot to do very fast too. Portals are going to open here in a second. I want to get this going. These things I can activate very quickly with this ship, like that. Now we want to get these portals closed, close rifts as fast as possible. Wait, what? Had a close rift thing and then it disappeared. not very maneuverable in this ship. That's the hard part. I just want to close this rift, that's all I want to do. No, I was so close to closing it. You stupid ship. Dang, I'm never gonna close this portal, am I? Like the never-ending portal. Dang, I can't do anything. With everything firing on me, I can't do anything. Alright, I gotta get out of there, guys. I can't do anything. I can't close anything, and I can't open anything. I can't do anything with everything firing on me. Dang. And nobody's activating these either. Why are not anybody activating these? One person just did. It's so hard to close the portals when you're being fired on. Okay, maybe while he's taking on that one, I can close this rift. Or maybe not. What is going on? Holy crap. Wow. Okay, that was difficult. Yeah, this is a hard one, and I don't know, man. This is rough. We got way too many ships everywhere. You can't close portals while you're being fired on.
Has fallen to 80%.
There's nothing I can do about that. I can't close. You can't close anything when you're being fired on. It's just difficult. I mean, look at that. Look at that. I can't do anything. I can't do anything.
Station structural integrity is at 60%.
We're gonna fail this one. This is a bad pug. This is a bad pug. Can't do anything. Can't close the portals. Can't take out the ships. Can't do nothing.
Station structural integrity down to 40%.
Can't even turn that on.
Station structural integrity has dropped to 20%. Station disabled. Bringing repair subroutines online.
I just want to enable this substation. I can't do it. Dang, I can't do anything. I'm so frustrated. I can't close portal. I can't initiate power transfer. I can't do nothing. Because I keep getting fired upon. It's so frustrating. I mean, really frustrating right now. You guys don't know how close I am to being very, very angry. I'm already very angry. I just want to close portals, and I want to turn on things.
Station is online.
And I can't do any of it. Look at that. I was close to it. I was so close. And then it fired on me. What? No, stop it. Stop firing on me.
Station structural integrity has fallen to 80%. Station structural integrity is at 60%. Station structural integrity down to 40%. Station structural integrity has dropped to 20%. Station disabled. Bringing repair subroutines online.
Look, oh my gosh, the explosion, it caused me to stop, and now I'm being fired on again. I can't do nothing. I can't do a squat. Squat all can be done. Can't initiate the power transfer. I can't do anything. I can't close portals. I can't turn on the things. This is frustrating as all get out. I mean, this is frustrating. This is bad. I'm embarrassed to post this video.
Station is online.
I know what to do. It's just doing it. I can't do it. When you're being fired on, you can't close anything. You can't do anything. What is even firing on me? This ship from way over here.
Firing anti-tachyon pulse. Defense relays are offline. It's working. The Terran ships are being forced back to their own universe. Massive energy spike detected. They're opening more rifts. Mirror Dreadnought coming through. The Dreadnought is emerging from a rift at 4 o'clock.
I'm so frustrated right now. I don't think these guys know you need to close the portals. I don't think they know that. I mean, that guy just passed right past this rift and didn't even close it. See, he passed right through it and didn't even close it.
The rifts are closed. We have the Dreadnought trapped.
It's like they don't know that that's what they need to do. Well, guys, that was an absolutely terrible pug.
The Dreadnought has been
That did not go well at all. I'm extremely embarrassed to even publish this video. I guess I'm going to anyway, but I will tell you what, I got really angry during that video. I mean, I felt like cursing. I got really angry playing that match there. That was not good, and I was so frustrated. I wanted to close the rifts. I knew I had to close the rifts as fast as possible. I knew I needed to get the defense level up. I know what to do in this. I mean, I played Mirror Invasion for like 7 years now. But dang, it was just really tough. And when you're fired on, you cannot close anything, and just I couldn't get away from being fired upon. That was the hardest part. And then I just think that the people in here didn't quite know what to do. I knew it was going to be like that anyway. They didn't even respond when I first messaged at the beginning, so I knew it was going to be a terrible pug. Nobody was really interested. Nobody knew what they were doing. It was terrible. They were terrible. Whole thing was terrible. I'm still going to publish this even though it was terrible. It goes to show the level of sometimes you have a good run, sometimes you can have a bad run. It was the advanced version, which is more difficult, but honestly, I've done advanced and had very good runs before, so that was a bad run. I think what I'll do next time is use the DPS channel instead of a pug. So I might actually replay this once the cooldown is done. I might come back in this video and do this at the end, at the very end. I'll do another Mirror Invasion advanced run, but this time I'll use the DPS channels and should have a better team there and have a better chance at completing it better anyway. So we'll do that. So stay tuned to the very end, and I will do Mirror Invasion Advanced once again. But let's move on. Let's move on to a Borg thing because everybody plays it. Let's just go ahead and do Infected to Conduit Advanced. Get one of them runs in, because everybody runs that, and that is a common thing, and I can show this ship off in that advanced STF. And then I might as well do the Tzenkethi STF, the colony world one, the colony one in space, and then we'll come back around and do Mirror Invasion again for the last thing, and that'll be a good demonstration of this ship's ability right there, all of those things together. So here we go, straight from one battle into another. And I don't even think all my things are cooled down yet.
From this time forward, your culture will adapt to service ours.
There we go. That's how that's done. So that goes pretty smoothly. The Borg ones. Nice and easy there. Ship does very well. Alright, let's queue up for a Tzenkethi battle. A Tzenkethi STF, a big one. We'll do advanced, of course. We'll go to Dreadnought colony. Dreadnought Gauntlet, and we will do advanced. Ooh, this one may take a while to go. It's got a long wait time on it. That's not good. That means there's not a lot of people playing it right now. Well, we'll see what happens. I'll go ahead and pause the video anyway, because there's no telling how long this will take. So, I will pause the video and we'll come back when the Tzenkethi Dreadnought Colony Gauntlet comes around. That one is advanced level difficulty, so hold on. Okay, everybody, here we are in the Dreadnought Colony Gauntlet.
We don't have a lot of time, so I'll make this quick. A large enemy force is on its way. It's up to you to hold the line.
Get my thingies out here. This is the advanced run of this, so again pugging it, but we'll see how this one goes. Hey, at least people are talking in this one, so maybe it will go okay. And like I said, right after this we'll do Mirror Invasion again, but we're going to do it from a DPS channel this time, so we'll have a better team this time. I think with a good team, Mirror Invasion Advanced is really not that difficult. Like I said, I've had good runs in it before. It was just that team was not a good run. But we'll see. You do kind of sometimes can get overwhelmed in it. I understand that.
Enemy ships detected. They're on an
Voth.
intercept
Okay, the
course.
Voth are pretty hard. They got that impenetrable shield. All my fighters are already dead. Wow. The Voth killed all my fighters very fast, yeah. So the Voth are a difficult one in this particular STF, especially on advanced here. The Voth are going to be a difficult enemy to deal with. They've got that impenetrable shield thing that's very tough. Invulnerability shield. Okay, I think we'll go over to this side.
Picking up multiple enemy signals on sensors. Get ready.
Ow. Like I said, they're pretty tough, the boss, especially on advanced. We did good at the start, but yeah, now we blew up. Now everything's on cooldown. Ow. Jeez, they are hitting hard, really hard. They're getting past the defenses too. That's not good. We kind of need some help on the left side here, because they are getting past the defenses. Wow, this is a hard one.
Satellite upgrades are now
Okie dokie. All upgraded.
Picking up the enemy flagships. Hang on up there.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult. I can't get through that shield. There we go. I got through that shield. I gotta get his shield facing down. Well, that was fun. Saw that coming. The Citadel ships are just so hard. Dang, look at that. Look at that. We got 2 Citadel ships right here. Just right here. I mean, this is torture. This is pretty nuts. And you spawn right on them. Wow. Can't stay alive. I mean, look at that cluster of ships. Honestly, look at that. I can't stay alive for 3 seconds. Well, this is just impossible. Bulwarks, Citadel ships, everything on top of you. Impossible shields to break through. They've got that invulnerability shield.
Enemy fleets have disengaged.
Somehow we did it. I don't know. That was rough. That, my friends, was rough. But it shows you, anyway, that even with a good ship, something like that's going to be difficult. Wow, that was really something right there. Look at all this damage I got. Well, that's a good indication of what you can expect at in-game anyway with advanced stuff. And you can see you definitely want the latest tier 6 ship. I mean, it really does, it can help. So let's go back to Seoul, and I'm going to heal all my injuries. And then we'll end again with Mirror Universe Advanced, but this time a better group. And we'll see how that goes. But even though these have been difficult tonight, and you've seen how difficult they can be, and a lot of that does depend on the group you're with and the other powers and ships and stuff you've got, you know, as allies. And, you know, luck of the draw. Sometimes you get a real good run, sometimes you get a bad run. That's what happens with pugs, so, you know. And anyway, the Voth are very difficult in that Dreadnought Colony Advanced. I mean, they have huge ships, they have impenetrable shields. That invulnerability shield they have is just ridiculous. It really is. Like, I have an easier time with the Borg in that STF than I do with the Voth. They're one of the harder ones. Okay, what did I name this thing? Let's get all my injuries healed. And now I'm ready. So what I'm going to do is again pause the video and get a Mirror Universe queued up from the DPS channels, and we'll see how that run goes, and that'll be our final run for this ship. So stand by. Okay, so we're doing something a little bit different. I'm doing Mirror Invasion, but I'm doing it on normal, and I'm pugging it. So I'm not doing it through the DPS channels, and here's why. Apparently, right now, most people doing it through the DPS channels are doing what's called AFKing, where they AFK, or away from keyboard, the first portion of the Mirror Invasion and just sit there and don't do anything, and then only do the last portion of it. And they do it on advanced, and you still get all the rewards because you don't necessarily have to complete the first portion of it successfully to get the reward. So it's just a quick and fast way of doing Mirror Invasion without having to do a whole lot of work. Unfortunately, that is what everybody's doing, simply because they just don't want to fight that first portion, which is very difficult on advanced, as we discovered earlier. So that's why they're doing. That's why you see AFK in the chat. It means, or that's the version they're doing. So what I'm doing instead is I want to actually play it because I need to demonstrate the ship's ability to you guys. So I'm pugging it instead. That's the only way you're going to be able to actually play it. But instead of doing it on advanced, this time I'm doing it on normal. So it should be a lot easier and doable on normal, and actually be real successful at it. And I'm not AFKing it. I want to actually do it. I want to actually play it. See, it's a lot more doable on normal than it is advanced. Portal opened up behind me. I actually like the challenge of closing all the rifts and doing everything. It's just that on advanced, it's just impossible to do. But on normal here is very doable. So that's what I'm doing. There we go. Try to get rid of some of these bigger ones that are out here.
Firing station plasma lands in 3, 2, 1. Firing station plasma lands in 3, 2, 1. Firing station plasma lance 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 in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, we're working this down. It's doable on normal if you have everybody working really good. If everybody's doing their job.
3, 2, 1.
Got to close all the rifts.
Firing station plasma lance in 3, 2, 1.
Well, so there you go.
Anti-tachyon pulse. Defense relays are offline. It's working. The Terran ships are being forced back to their own universe. Massive energy spike detected. They're opening more rifts. Mirrored Dreadnought coming through. The Dreadnought is emerging from a rift at 8 o'clock. Firing station plasma lance in 3, 2, 1.
Congratulations. Oops, that's the Dreadnought. Don't want to attack the Dreadnought just yet. Want to get the rifts closed first. The Dreadnought's firing on me. I want to close this rift, but I can't close it if it's going to be firing on me. That's not going to work. There we go.
Firing station plasma lance in 3, 2, 1. Firing station plasma lance in 3, 2, 1. The rifts are closed. We have the Dreadnought trapped.
Okay, now we can take out the Dreadnought.
Firing station plasma lance in 3, 2, 1.
And she's gone. Nice and quick on that. Alright, so that was a pretty decent run. I've actually had better normal runs than that as well. I've had really clean normal runs that sometimes you get them done like with minutes to spare and you just sit above the station and wait for the next wave. I mean, I've had really good ones like that. Obviously, it's just going to depend on the team you're with and how good they are, how good their ships are, and if they're doing the right thing. So let me just explain that a little. Again, I was going to do a run with the DPS group, but what they're pretty much doing right now is what's called an AFK run, and it's a way where you basically just sit through the first portion of the advanced run of Mirror Invasion, don't do anything, and you wait for the second round to come, which is where you have to take out the Dreadnought, because apparently you don't really need the first part to succeed. Your station will never really blow up because it just goes out of power and it comes back, goes out, comes back. Of course, you'll be overwhelmed with a ton of ships, but you don't have to fight or worry about them. You just wait till the second run. That is an easy way of doing it, but you're kind of missing the whole point of the thing, which is to actually try to take out the ships and close the rifts and turn on the generators and so forth and so on and so on. That's for people who really just want to get the reward without doing very little effort. But for me, I actually enjoy playing it. I actually enjoy closing the rifts and doing the generators and stuff like that. But unfortunately, if you're trying to pug it on advanced, you're going to have a very difficult time because it's just a very difficult thing to do. But on normal version, you'll have a lot better chance. So I suggest if you're going to actually play it and you want to not be really frustrated, just pug it on normal and you should be fine, which is what I just did. And you can have a really good run that way. If you want to pug it on advanced, go for it and try it. But you may have a very difficult time just because it's a pug. Now, if you can get a pre-made group that is actually playing it instead of AFKing it, then that should be good as well. But it just depends how you want to do it, and apparently most people are doing the AFK method here on the DPS channels, so that's what's happening, and that's not how I wanted to play it. I wanted to actually play it. So anyway, now I've done it in both advanced and normal in this one long video and shown you both methods, both pugged, but yet both difficulties in Mirror Invasion anyway, and that should hopefully give you, the whole goal of that is just to give you a better idea for how this ship performs in things. We've done the Tzenkethi Red Alert, we've done a Borg STF on advanced, we've done a Tzenkethi Janura Colony on advanced, which was very difficult with the Voth. So it really shows how versatile the ship is. I've done several patrols. You saw at the beginning I did some patrols with this ship, and we took it and I showed you each power individually and how it works with this ship. So that should give you an idea of the capabilities of the ship, and that should give you an idea of what you can do with the ship. Obviously, I mean, there's so many more STFs and red alerts and things I could play and show you, but at this point, this video is so long anyway, and I know that a lot of people sometimes don't like these really long videos or don't sit through and watch all of it. And so I'll just go ahead and end the video here because I know it is extremely long. There's so much more I could do, but I mean, at this point, what else would it really show you if I did? So you've seen it. You've seen it in action. You've seen what it can do, and this is the top of the line Galaxy variant in this game. I mean, if you want the best Galaxy variant, if that is your goal, is to fly a Galaxy variant in this game because of its iconic look and because of the TV show Star Trek The Next Generation, then this is the tier 6, the two tier 6 versions are going to be your best bet. You're going to have the tier 6 Dreadnought Yamato class or the tier 6 Andromeda exploration cruiser. And both of those are going to be your top of the line tier 6 ships. And they are definitely powerful in this game, and they will be great at in-game content. I mean, they will allow you to do all the latest STFs and everything on all the difficulty modes. Just make sure you have a good build, of course. And if you want to go that extra mile, I did mention you can go with a fleet version of the ships as well. But just remember, you do not get the unique console, and you do not get the starship trait with the fleet version. So if you want those two things, you will have to get the C-Store version and the fleet version. And then you can put those things on the fleet version and use them. And then you'll have the bestest ship you can have, the bestest, most tankiest, more hull, more shield, etc. ship. That's pretty much all you get out of the fleet. But you have to have the C-Store version if you want the console and the trait. So a bit of an investment for the most bestest. But if you can afford it and if you can do it, you will have a very good end-game experience in this game. And of course, remember to upgrade your weapons as well. You know, if you can make everything epic quality, you know, gold quality, Mark 14 all the way up as high as it can go, that's also going to really help you a lot as well. And remember to use all your traits, all your specializations, all your skills, and you know, all of that comes together to make a real powerful build. Focus on what's important for whatever ship you're flying. You know, if it's a ship like this with a lot of beams, you want a lot of critical severity, critical chance, stuff like that, so you can get a lot of crits in. You want to use modifiers that buff crit D, crit severity, or have penetration or armor penetration or something like that, so you can do more damage. Damage modifier doesn't hurt either, but crit D, you know, something, you want some good modifiers there. So think about those type of things to really buff the powers of your ship, because it's not just the ship, it's like everything combined, right? It takes everything combined to make a good build. So think about all that and work on all that. But obviously the ship is the foundation, and then you build upon that foundation. And this is a good foundation. This is a solid foundation ship right here to work with. You can do a lot with it, and I really enjoy it. And I think with the Miracle Worker, it can also be really good as well. Can't wait to get that all unlocked. But anyway, what else do we have? This is the end of me celebrating the 30th anniversary of Star Trek The Next Generation. I've done now several of these review videos based around that fact, honoring the 30th anniversary, and so I just want to once again say what an awesome show Star Trek The Next Generation was. It is my show as a kid that I grew up with, and it influenced me a lot growing up. It really did. So that was my thing. And so these series of videos on the exploration, on the Galaxy class ship variants, has been in honor of that, just to show how great, the iconic the ship is. And it's been a great series of reviews on these ships. And I have proven that you still can get by at in-game content with Tier 4 or Tier 5 ships or Tier 5U. You don't necessarily need a Tier 6 ship. A Tier 5 or a Tier 5U ship will actually work just well. I probably would not use a Tier 4 ship, but a Tier 5 or a Tier 5U ship would be a good in-game ship if you had to, and you couldn't get a Tier 6 ship. So I showed earlier in those reviews that it is possible to do that. So that's a very important fact to keep in mind. You can still have fun with a Tier 5 and Tier 5U ship. And ultimately, if you can go for it and afford it, a tier 6 ship is going to be better, and it is going to give you more options. So that's nice as well. And there's pretty much not much else to say about that. I will be doing more Starship reviews. This is not the end of Starship reviews for me in Star Trek Online. This is just the end of the Galaxy variants. I've now looked at every single one, so there's no more to look at. I've looked at every Galaxy variant, so we can call that done. And there will be more starships to review. I've got several other characters lined up, different starships. I've still got to do the Kelvin timeline starships, which is very interesting. I actually have both of them, the Vengeance thing and the JJ Enterprise one. So I've got both Kelvin timeline ships. I'm probably going to hit up those next because that's something that I know a lot of people are curious about, and I definitely want to get those out there because that's something that is maybe a little controversial or debatable, that the ships are in the game, but yet they are, and we can fly them, so let's just see how they are, you know. So I've got lots more coming up. I got a science ship lined up. I have more escorts lined up. I've got some more tier 5 U ships lined up as well. So I've got a lot of starship reviews to do in this game. There's a ton of starships in the game, and they just released all the Miracle Worker ships, which I don't have any of them yet. So there are a ton of starships in this game. I mean, it's gonna keep me busy forever reviewing just starships in this game. But I will be doing that, probably not at the rate that I've been doing it this month. Maybe more like 1 or 2 every month, something like that. Maybe 2 a month, and that's about it. But I hope you all have enjoyed this series of starship reviews in this game, the Galaxy variants. They're very powerful ships. They're very, very cool looking, of course. They're very iconic, and I like them all. And if I were going to fly an in-game ship, it would either be the Tier 6 exploration cruiser or this Dreadnought as my Tier 6, ship. I might probably even go for the fleet version, since I already have the C-Store version, and combine them and make it even better. So, yeah. And don't forget, you can combine the consoles. I haven't forgot. You can combine the supplemental subsystems console and the cloaking console. I'm really not going to demonstrate it here because there's really not much you gain from it. You'll get the cloak, of course, but what you get is basically you just get a +3 flight turn rate and a +3 defense. So not a whole lot of gain there to be had, and I'd have to sacrifice one of my other consoles to do that. So just showing you that you can do it, it's capable of it. I don't know that I would fly it that way though permanently, but it is capable of doing it. Just to let you know, you can combine those things and try different things. See if you like it. Maybe you'll like it. I don't know. It's certainly possible to do it anyway. That's the whole point. Well, there you go. I hope you've enjoyed these series of videos. Let me know what you think in the comments. I know these things have been really long and winded, but I just wanted to get it all out there. I'm very passionate about Star Trek. I love it. These starships, the series, and this game is the only way we have to really interact with it right now. There's no other Star Trek MMO. There's nothing else really to interact on this type of level with starships and Star Trek things. So that's why I like this game. It allows me to interact with Star Trek things that I like. So thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.